Welcome to NinonSpeaks. I'm Ninon de Rosa, and we are in an Argentinian restaurant in Las Vegas. Absolutely amazing. But I have the most incredible guest. I have a young lady who is running for presidency for the United States of America. Now, women coming into this role is amazing. How are you, Marianne?
I'm good, thank you.
You're looking amazing, and this is a big challenge for you, but it doesn't look as if it's a challenge for you. You just look as if it's happening.
It's both.
It's both. Mm-hmm. So what made you run? Why do you want to be the president of the United States and take on this amazing job?
You know, I have had a 40-year career in a field where it's all about getting deep and getting real and getting honest. And I think that it's part of the American character to get down, to get real, and to get honest. And that's how we live better lives, and that's how we transform things that need to be transformed.
Absolutely.
The political system does not get real, it does not get deep, and it does not get honest. And the gap between who we are as people and how we are behaving collectively is increasingly dangerous.
Well, it seems to be getting worse and worse, and I don't know, everybody sort of is blaming this younger generation, but you've got to consider that we as the older people, as parents, have been helping and training these children because that's what we do. So is it the mothers and fathers of the generation that are not really training our younger generation to be who we are as American people?
Well, first of all, you said we're all blaming the younger generation. I don't blame the younger generation.
Good.
I'm hoping, please do what you're saying. I think there's an interesting intergenerational dynamic going on right now. When people ask me, who are your supporters, I say young people and old people. It's the people in the middle who wish I'd get out of here.
That's you and I.
Well, exactly. I'm stuck on your having called me a young lady. I'm proud of the fact that I'm not a young lady. I have a lot of scars too.
You have a lot
absolutely. I have some things that come from not being a young lady. Young ladies have some things I don't have anymore, but I have some things they don't have yet.
Okay, well, that was meant as a compliment, actually.
This business about intergenerational, quite seriously. In the 1970s in this country, the average couple could afford a house.
Yes.
And they could afford a car, and they could afford a yearly vacation, and they could afford one parent to stay home with the kids if they wanted to.
That was life.
That's right. And they could afford to send their kids to college. That was a thriving middle class. What the older among us have is the memory of that time.
Yes.
Now, younger people in America today, it's a completely different reality because we have no thriving middle class. As my friend in this room actually once said to me, Americans can't even afford America. So I think that the intergenerational...
Do you think that's through the technology in this world? Because the technology has changed everything completely now.
No, it's not because of technology. It's because of a corrupt economic system that now holds Washington hostage.
Yes.
But if I may go back to this business about the intergenerational relationship, the older people among us remember when America had a thriving middle class. And we have this like guffaw, like what's going on here?
Yes.
Younger people do not see it, but they're also saying what's going on here.
They also want to know what's going on.
And I think there's a mutual and aligned outrage and sense that this is not right and we need to change this. So I think actually young people and older people are forming an interesting coalition in America today.
Absolutely. So it seems like your goal is to get back the middle class. Because without middle class, anywhere in the world, we know where that goes. Because you either have the very rich or you have the poor people, and we don't have a middle class stabilize a country.
That's exactly
They always
correct.
have. Now, why you've got all these, I mean, I don't know, what do you think of this immigration thing? You've got all these people from all over the world now, not just Mexico or that part of the world, all over the world coming into America with there's just lines and lines of them, and they're allowed to come in. What do you think of that?
Well, it's not as simple as they're all allowed to come in. There is tremendous surge of immigration in the at our borders, particularly our southern border right now. But I think that we have to look at this not only on the level of the symptom, but also on the level of root causes. And on the level of root causes, particularly, as you said, it's not just Latin America.
No,
but
it's
when
the world.
it comes to Latin America, for instance, the United States policies, American policies vis-a-vis Latin America, for decades have been policies that help to destabilize many of these economies.
Yes.
So I think if we're treating the problem on the level of root cause, the United States will be much more active trying to restabilize what we in many ways destabilized. I also think if we're treating it on the level of root cause, certainly when it comes to immigrants from Latin America, I think that we should end America's war on drugs. And as we do
that would be a challenge.
Well, if you have a president who calls for it, you're on your way. However, I think the point of ending the war on drugs, well, there are 2 points about it.
Yes, definitely.
It was initiated by Richard Nixon in 1971. We know it was under bogus pretense. Drugs were not what he called the public enemy number one. We have spent $1 trillion. We have certainly not solved the problem of drug addiction in America. We have exacerbated
No, I think it's got worse and worse and worse with more drugs, different drugs coming in.
And when I was in college, there were 300,000 people in prison in the United States. Today, there are 2.3 million, and 46% of all federal prisoners are nonviolent drug offenders.
So, Marianne,
But if I may just finish that one thing about immigration. Yeah. When we end the war on drugs, which we're now spending $100 billion a year, for a fraction of that, we could have a world-class network of recovery options. We should be treating drug addiction, we should be treating it like a health issue as they do in Portugal, not like a criminal issue. But my point is that this will take a lot of power away from the drug cartels because we will be taking away their black market in the United States.
They've expanded so much, the cartels expanded so much, it's very hard. Now we're allowing all these people that they're probably letting all these prisoners out of all these different countries to come into America. So we're not exactly getting the creme de la creme coming into America.
Oh, that sounds like something Trump would say. Yeah, I think we're getting some really wonderful people too.
Oh, I think we are too as well. But if anybody's successful in their country, they cannot get up and leave because they're successful and they've got their business established in their own country. So this is like a little bit of a problem as to who is coming into the country. I mean, they're mostly people that are coming in haven't succeeded in their own country, or they're trying to expand themselves in the educational field and also in the business world.
That's the American dream. That's why my grandparents came here.
Where were they from?
They were from Minsk and Pinsk, what is now Belarus. So unless you are descended from enslaved people, or you are descended from indigenous tribes on the native North American continent, you or your parents or your grandparents or some ancestor came here for the exact same reason. My grandparents didn't have anything. They were trying to escape pogroms. That's the
American dream.
Yeah. That is the American dream, yes. And we should, I believe, wish it for others in our time the way former generations wished it for us.
Absolutely.
But we obviously have to have legal means of immigration.
It has to legally be. I mean, I came here legally, so
right. And it has been a massive failure of our Congress, among other things.
Yeah. Now, I understand you're very much into foundations. You're very much in helping other people. You've kind of done a lot of that through your life. What is the main thing that you really want to concentrate if you become president? Well, not if, you should become president, but what is the main thing that you really want to focus on to make America better and to bring back the middle class?
62% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. 70% of Americans say that they live with chronic economic anxiety. 1 in 4 Americans live with medical debt. 18 million Americans cannot afford to pay for the prescriptions that their doctors give them. 68,000 Americans die every year because they don't have health care. Tens of millions of people living with the burden of these college loan debts. The economic despair and anxiety in this country is unsustainable. Lives are falling apart.
Absolutely. So, families are falling apart.
And it's because of that's what a middle class is. It means you have enough wiggle room. Too many people financially have no wiggle room.
At the moment, none.
Absolutely. And this is a crisis. This is not just
How are you going to solve that problem?
So my plan is for an economic Bill of Rights. An economic Bill of Rights which entails universal health care, tuition-free college and tech school.
Wait a minute, free college?
Absolutely, like in every other advanced democracy. My positions are considered moderate in every other advanced democracy. Every other advanced democracy has universal health care. Every other advanced democracy has tuition-free college and tech school. We need subsidized child care. We need paid family leave. We need guaranteed affordable housing, guaranteed living wage. The very fact that we've been trained to limit our political imaginations, trained to accept so little, means something's very wrong.
It seems like America has to pay for everything, or the government has to pay for everything for all these families. Are we not going to work anymore?
You're already, this is your money. When you say the government has to pay for it, the government is your money.
But if you're not working, then you're not paying taxes.
Nobody said anything about not working.
Oh, okay.
We're
So
talking
all still
about
going
giving
to
people
work.
the opportunity. Look at how many people in America work at jobs they hate because it's the
Really?
Yes, and they were working at those jobs because that's the only place where they
make
can
a
get the
living.
benefits, where
Okay.
they're, let's say, the health care benefits. The more we can do to set people up to thrive, that's what should be central.
So that's your aim, is to get people to thrive on their own and to start, getting out there. But we have a big dilemma at the moment with the small businesses. So how does somebody get into the small business? Because small business is really the middle class, as we all know, and that's what keeps everything going. How do we get back into that? Because we're out of it.
Well, one of the things that a universal health care system, a Medicare for all system does, is that it frees businesses from having to worry about health care for its employees.
Why is healthcare so important? Because it seems like the pharmaceutical people and everybody are making millions. I walked into, I won't mention a chemist, but I call them chemists in England, and I see this basket. It's full of all these different medications. And I said, oh, that's for many people. Oh, no, this is just for one person. What is going on with
Right, we are
medical
obviously an
insurance?
overly medicated society.
Yes.
Until Ronald Reagan was president, before Ronald Reagan was president, you couldn't, pharmaceutical companies were forbidden from advertising on television. Remember, this is such a hugely multi-billion-dollar industry. Meanwhile, we have 1.3 million Americans who are rationing their insulin. We have an $88 billion medical debt. I mentioned before, 1 in 4 Americans live with medical debt. We have an $88 billion medical debt. Meanwhile, if you take the top 5 pharmaceutical companies, their profit alone last year was $80 billion. What we have in this country is a matrix of corporate overlords, and their institutional greed. It has an effect that's almost a soft fascism in this country. It's insurance companies, pharmaceutical companies, big food companies, big chemical companies, big agricultural companies, gun manufacturers, big oil and defense industry.
Yes.
And right now, their short-term profit maximization is our governing principle. It supersedes the health, the safety, and the well-being of the American people, and it has replaced democracy and humanitarian values as our organizing principle. And this will not stop. Their money, their undue influence on Washington is so great. They have turned our government into a system of legalized bribery, and the only way this will change is if we, the people, intervene with a massive march on the ballot box.
You just said, we, the people.
That's right. They don't like that anymore.
We, the people.
The people.
Whoa, that's pretty cool. I like that. I got to find another word.
I know. Who came up with that?
I did. No,
Well,
I'm teasing. No, but did you say, and I said everybody's got their heads buried in the sand. Get out of the sand and start working for America. Let's try to get America more together and not have these problems. We've got so many problems. We've never had so many millionaires and rich people in American society, probably all over the world, but American society. There are so many rich people, but the problem is they buy up all these small industries and attach them to their own, so they get bigger and bigger, like the pharmaceutical. They buy up all the little ones, and the little ones are happy because they get 200,000 or 300,000, whatever it is they get for their business that they've poured all their time into. But the problem is now we've got these big businesses running America.
That's exactly right. And those big businesses.
I'm right.
So we're talking about these huge corporate monopolies.
Yes, they are.
These huge which have a terrible deleterious effect on the small businesses.
Well,
that you
that's
were
the
talking
problem,
about.
the small business.
That's exactly right. And then they have formed, and this is why we are not functioning as a democracy. We're functioning as an oligarchy. So what we have is a few people in America making enormous sums of money at the expense of the majority of people. Now, there's nothing wrong with making money. Making money is a great
There's nothing
thing.
wrong. Don't misunderstand either one of us. There's
But
nothing wrong in money.
The problem is that too many people in America never get a chance to. A conscious person does not want to believe that they're creating wealth at the expense of other people having a chance.
Yeah.
But that's what's happening in America. The vast majority of people are so locked in to financial circumstances where there's no real chance for them to, realistically, for them to do much more than just, pay the rent, put
That's
the
not
food on the
living. Paying
table.
the rent. We've all been through that. I went through that when I was a young lady, when I was building myself up. I became very successful, but I worked very hard. I have to say that. But I don't know if the younger generation are sort of into this, and how are you going to change? And I keep saying the younger generation. I don't know what we go into the younger generation. I guess up to about probably 40 that are going to do the small businesses. How do we get them back into doing the small businesses? How do they get help? How do they get a loan to help themselves start a small business?
Well, first of all, just start even with the loan debt. I mean, with the college loan debt. So when I was a young woman, until
Still are.
and when I'm a mature woman and enjoying every second of it. So
Me too.
Until the 1970s in this country, there was tuition-free and near tuition-free college in the United States. University of
Well,
Florida.
the community colleges, they're all free.
Yes, but University of Florida had a system, University of Texas, University of California. And then this unholy economic alliance formed. It's government, it's lending companies, right? And it's banks.
So
this is predatory. This is the idea that this country preys on our own young. So in a healthy country, just as in a healthy family, you set your young up to win. You don't cut them off at their knees.
No, not at all.
So we have millions of young people, tens of millions of young people, in their 20s carrying tens of thousands of dollars of college loan debt. So when you say,
Absolutely,
when
you're
we were
so
young,
true.
we made it, to compare...
But I didn't go to college, so I didn't have to worry.
But to compare the level of opportunity, realistic opportunity that existed when you and I were young to what young people are dealing with today. I know our president, for instance, says, "Oh, it's no different than I was young." It is absolutely different than
Well,
when
you're
we
talking
were young.
about you're talking a lot about the 70s. You're talking about 50 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Now,
And
I'm talking, now we got to get, I know we like to compare, but 50 years is 50 years. That's too far back for me. We want to concentrate on what we're going to do today. How are we going to encourage the middle class and the younger generation? What do you have in mind in the layman's language to help them?
well, if they had
layman's
some
language.
money in their pocket,
So how are they going to get that money?
one
Are
of the
they-
things you do is you completely remove the college loan debt. It could be eradicated. The president could eradicate it today through the Higher Education Act. There are millions of young people in the United States who would love nothing more than to have $2,500 for discretionary spending to start this small business that
Do you
keep
think
talking about.
all children or all the younger generation should go to college? Are you saying? See,
They
we
should
don't
do what they want
to do. But the problem is if they go into say a McDonald's or anywhere and they've got one with a college degree and one without, guess what they're going to employ? The college degree.
Not necessarily.
Not necessary?
No, not necessarily.
Good. I like to hear that. That's
Yeah,
cool.
Not necessarily.
That's good. So getting back to your aim, so you're going to become president of the United States. What is the first thing you're going to do and put out there?
First thing I want to do is to cancel the Willow Project, which is an $8 billion ConocoPhillips oil extraction program on the North Slopes of Alaska. We need to be ramping down fossil fuel extraction, not ramping it up. Our current president has given more oil drilling permits even than Trump
I
did.
know, yeah.
So he has some healthy investments in green energy in the Inflation Reduction Act. However, on the other hand, he's actually, as I said, given more oil drilling permits than Trump did. He also has recently approved the LNG project in Alaska as well. We need a mass mobilization for a just transition from a dirty economy to a clean economy, which, by the way, will include millions of jobs.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned Trump a couple of times. Trump's got a lot of stuff going on. He's also running, and he's out there. What's your opinion of what's going on with Trump?
What is my opinion of him, or what is my opinion of what's going on with him?
Both. You can answer both.
Well,
No, at all.
I have very little respect for him as a human being.
Okay.
And I think he has done great damage to this country. This country was never without its racists, bigots, homophobes, anti-Semites, etc. However, when I was young, there was a sense of levees, guardrails, and everybody knew that such people existed, but you couldn't even imagine that any major political party would give a megaphone to such forces.
Okay.
And then we had two things happen, and they happened almost simultaneously. One was the advent of social media, where anybody can be platformed. And second, the presence of a politician who is clearly a malignant narcissist, who is not above stoking those forces for his own political purposes. And now the levees have fallen. The guardrails have been removed. And we have among us politicized forces of hatred. And it is a serious problem, and it has to be answered with equally powerful politicized forces of love and justice.
What do you think of, especially this year, because it's the year where we're going to have a new president, while you're running, what do you think of how they conduct all these different talks and all these different things that are going on, and they're knocking on doors again, and they're all doing different things? Which is the main thing you think somebody out there who wants to become president, the main thing they should really do and they should really learn to get to the people, to get their votes?
Well, this is...
that's a difficult question, I know, but...
No. The problem, when you were talking about the corporatization and the monopolization of industry, one of the places where, particularly since the Telecommunications Act in 1996, has been the corporatization of the American media companies. This was called the Telecommunications Act of 1996. So that instead of the educative function that the press should be performing in a society, it's all about the money, just like everything else is.
Yes.
So there is now
Unfortunately,
an
but that's what it
unholy
is.
alliance between politics and media. I call it the political media industrial complex. So when you ask me, what do you need to do? You need to get out to the people. However...
So how are you going to do that? You're already doing it. He's coming on my show. This helps her get the exposure, who you are, what you're running for, and also being a woman.
Well, you hope to be, given the fact that you are an FEC registered presidential candidate, you hope to be on mainstream media. Last time when I ran, I had a CNN town hall. I was regularly on CNN and on MSNBC. This time, I've been blacklisted.
Why? Oh my
Because
goodness.
the Democratic Party has decided that it's Joe Biden, and they have done everything possible, including making sure that CNN won't have me, MSNBC won't have me, now to the point
All because of Joe Biden.
Oh, they've decided it's Joe Biden. They've made that clear. They've made that clear there will not be debates.
Well, hang on
they
a
have
second.
even worked
Hang on a second.
quite a few states to make sure no one is on the ballot other than
We've
Joe
all
Biden.
been watching. I mean, we've all got televisions, we've all got cell phones, we've all got everything to see everything. And I don't think we are mistaken as to a lot of stuff. And I'm not knocking Joe Biden, I happen to know him. I'm not knocking him, but he comes on, like he's not competent. And now I don't even know if he's going to reach the end of this year, never mind 4 more years. So what's your opinion on how never mind anything else, his health?
My opinion is that everybody has eyes with which to see. My opinion is that everybody knows what you just said. It's ridiculous. And 70% of Democrats have said they want to see other candidates. And I know myself, being another candidate, I understand the institutional resistance to my voice being out there, which is why I'm grateful to be on your show. And this is
We've got a
retail
lovely
politics.
audience here. Yes, we've got a
Well,
great
these are
audience.
Voters.
And
Voters
yes.
in Nevada have a lot of power. If you're a registered Democrat, this is a closed primary. So even if you're not a registered Democrat and you support my campaign, I hope you'll become a registered Democrat for a day. Then you can go back if you want to.
Do what you want. It's Vegas.
Yeah, it's all legal.
And what's in Vegas stays in Vegas. But I don't know if that's true anymore. But when we're dealing in politics, so you've got one side. You've got 3 sides. You've got the Democrats, the Republicans, and then you've got the I guess Kennedy.
Well, today
what do
we
you
have
think
Robert
of Kennedy?
Kennedy,
Yeah, what
we
do you
have
think about
Cornel
Robert?
West, we
What do you
have-
think of Robert Kennedy?
I've known Bobby Kennedy for a few years. I lived in Los Angeles. I don't know him well. I consider him an acquaintance. the place where Robert Kennedy and I agree has to do with the sort of corporate, it's called corporate capture of our agencies. He and I certainly agree on that.
Yeah.
However, we disagree on most things. We
Well-
disagree on most things economically. He calls
Well, yeah,
himself a
'cause you're
free
all running
market
for different-
capitalism guy. We certainly disagree on Israel and Palestine.
Well, yeah, because you're all running on different platforms and different things. Okay, so we're going to have to close out because I know you have another meeting to go to, another interview to go to. What is the message, the greatest message you feel that you can get out there for people to vote for you, Marianne?
Well, I think, I just want
gonna
people
catch
to
them.
know what I stand for. Then you should vote for who aligns with your heart. So I don't think you quote unquote should vote for me. That's not for me to say who you should vote for. You should vote for who aligns with what you would like to see happen in the United States.
Yeah.
What I'm telling you is that I believe the United States needs an economic U-turn. I think we're headed for the iceberg. We need to turn this thing around. I want an economic new beginning. I want to take on the U.S. war machine. I think we need to have a Department of Peace. We need to have a Department of Children and Youth because America's children are at risk. And we need to declare a climate emergency and get about a just transition from a dirty economy to a clean economy. And we need to end America's war on drugs.
Oh, that's definite.
That would be a very good beginning.
Well, you got a lot to accomplish.
Well,
And I think I love that.
Thank you. The president does not have a magic wand. There are three co-equal branches
Well, yeah,
of
that's
government.
true.
But I can at least initiate the conversation that takes us into a season of repair. And then in 4 years, hand it over to a younger
I love
generation
that,
who will
what
take
she
it
just
from
says,
there.
a season for repair. And I think this is what we really, all of you out there listening to what we've got to say, is that we've got to get America, we've got to get people a little friendlier, a little nicer. I mean, I can, many examples, I go out of a door and they just slam it in your face, or they knock you and they don't even say sorry. I mean, I wasn't brought up that way. I was brought up to be courteous and to be nice. So I think we all need to change that around, just to be nice, even if it's just for 1 second.
I really
Be nice
agree
to
with that.
someone. Just be nice. Hello, how are you? I mean, I smile at many people. I tell jokes because I love people to laugh and I love them to have fun. Though don't misunderstand me, I'm a very serious woman as well, and I love America, and I think I think the people in America we're sort of not together, and we need to get together, and to make America what it was
I think
in the 70s. I got to go back to the 70s.
I think your point about kindness is really well taken. We're at a mean-spirited moment.
Yes, and we got to get
And
out
I
of that.
see this, the smug, self-righteous, it's on the left as much as on the right.
Oh,
we
yes.
all have to check ourselves on this and be far more respectful. We need to bring words like honor and ethics and character back.
Say
I
hello
agree
to
with
someone.
that.
What doesn't hurt you makes you feel good, actually. You know,
Pardon?
it's funny out there. If you're nice to somebody and they're nice back to you, do you know how good you feel?
Yes.
So if you practice that more often, like a little baby crying in the background here, doesn't that make people happy? You know, a little baby coming out and doing that, and you know,
What really matters.
it was really amazing. And Marianne, you've been an incredible guest. I thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
And congratulations. I'm definitely going to congratulate her on a woman and going into this target. It's a target, and it's a challenge. It's a target and it's a challenge. You've gone for the target and you're going for it. And I'm sorry that she's not got all these stations. I don't get that.
Yeah.
But
well, that's how it works in America
That's
today,
how
and
it
that's
works
why
in
we have
America.
to
So we have to change
override
that. We've got to get rid of all that stuff. You know, we've got to. I mean, all these channels seem to go to different sides, and I think news media should be everybody.
Yeah.
But it's not. But
Yeah.
I can't change
It
that.
sure isn't.
The only thing I can do is interview people like Marianne. Thank you so much.
Thank you very, very
Thank
much.
you
God
very,
bless you.
very much.
Thank you.
Well, congratulations, and keep moving forward.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching NinonSpeaks. It's been amazing. Of course, I got a few, the audience here, and I hope they've enjoyed it. I hope they've learned a lot about you.
Thank
Marianne.
you.
And we shall be back with our next guest. I don't know who that's going to be, but there's one around the corner. You take care.